Hello and welcome to the Unwanted Opinion podcast, the show in which me and my friends give our unwanted opinion on all things film. My name is Lewis and I'm joined today with Kyle.
Hello.
Hello. Adjusting myself here. And Gonzalo.
Hey, how we doing?
I'm doing well. I didn't prepare myself before it came on camera. I was like, oh no, I'm not actually in a serious position here, but
Yeah,
unprofessional.
not used to being on camera. Yeah, we don't have a makeup
No,
department yet.
actually, I'm looking
Mm.
really small now. I think about it. My posture. Jesus.
It's the fact what annoys me, Lewis,
Mm.
is that you've got two very identical wardrobes and you don't center yourself right in the middle of them.
Well, because my desk isn't in the
It's
middle of them. There's a bed in the way.
yeah.
So
I
like,
didn't even notice that, but
There's a
thank you,
there's
Cal.
a
I'll be
there's a
bothered
sim-
by it
there's a
for the rest
simple
of the
there's a
episode.
simple solution, which is move the bed. I don't
but I
understand.
like the bed. I like the bed. Whereas the bed's too big to fit in between the wardrobes, right? So
No.
that just wouldn't work. So
Mm.
and it would never be centered.
I know, but this is this
But
isn't
you
home
just-
designs.
Yeah.
You just need to
Yeah, I
send your pictures of your room to the Feng Shui guy from TikTok that
Mm.
rearranges your room.
Oh yeah, that would be
Yeah.
useful.
Well, look, we're going to talk about movies, guys. So
yes, we are.
on today's show, we've got quite a packed episode because to commemorate the release of Madam Web, our much
Yes.
anticipated film for next week, which I'm sure we'll have a review for in the coming weeks.
Incredible.
We're going to be talking about Spider-Man, everything Spider-Man on screen. We've got a tier list here. We're going to rank what our favorites are. There could be some bitter arguments here. Could be interesting. I'm really curious about to see where some films lie with you guys, including all the Sonyverse films like Venom and Morbius and whatnot
Morbius.
too. Morbius, yes. We
Morbius
also have
2.
reviews for American Fiction, the 5-time Oscar-nominated film. It's also up for Best
Finally
Picture.
came to UK. Thank God.
Finally came to the UK, so I have a
Yeah.
review for that today. But we're going to start off with the biggest film in the world right now, the one we've all been anticipating, and we all want to know who Agent Argyle is. So,
Yeah.
Kyle, you have a review for Agent Argyle.
Yes,
Argyle.
not a 5-time Oscar-nominated film.
No,
Well, actually,
surprisingly.
No. To be fair, it's in the wrong
Alright,
season,
okay,
isn't it?
Okay.
Isn't it?
It is. We
It's
don't
in the
know.
wrong-
Yeah, we'd
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
wait. We'll
It
have to
could
wait. We'll
it
have to
could
wait
be a
here.
5-time
It
nominated
could
film.
be.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
going
possibly not
to
nominated, so you
predict
never know.
and say it's not. But
Okay.
you know.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
yes, we have from the twisted mind, and I really understand twisted now. Mind of Matthew Vaughn, who's obviously known for doing the first Kick-Ass movie,
Yes.
the
Yes.
Kingsman films,
Yeah.
and obviously
X-Men First Class, was that him as well?
Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I just
The
I
be- one
don't
of the, one of, if not the
understand.
best X-Men film, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously The Kingsman, which is his most
Mhm.
recent one before this, and Stardust,
Yeah.
which I used to love as a child.
I
Yes,
love
yes,
Stardust.
that was a
I
good
think
one.
that's a.
I
think
don't
that's a
say that.
brilliant
I
film.
probably
think
probably
that's
still
great.
do love Stardust. I haven't watched it in a while.
Weirdly enough, both of them starring our good boy Superman. So, because it was one of his
Well, he doesn't
first.
star in Stardust.
No,
is it?
well,
Charlie
he's in it.
Cox is the main star.
Yeah, but he is in
Yeah.
it.
Get
He
your
is in
facts
it,
straight.
so, you know.
Anyway,
enough.
so
Yeah.
Argyle centers around Bryce Dallas Howard's character, Ellie Conway, who is this author of the very famous selling fictional series Argyle, who
Uh-huh.
the fictional character Argyle is played by Henry Cavill. That's what you see in the trailers. He has a sidekick played by the wrestler John Cena, and they have that little scene with Dua Lipa, which is what you've all seen in the marketing. Anyway,
Yes.
what has been happening is that Ellie's books have been a wee bit too close to real life events, and a secret organization called the Division is after her, and real life spy Adrian White, played by Sam Rockwell, is sent to rescue her, and blah 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 blah, and out to find the real Agent Argyle. Now, this is going to be a really spoiler review because I really can't say much about this film.
Oh no.
Well, really? Without spoil, Argyle? Without spoilers?
I know, and this what there's it's
Alright,
it's
okay,
weird because it's funny because there's something in the interviews that I'm pretty sure like Dua Lipa said was that, you know, the great thing about this film is there's twist after twist after twist. I'm like, there is. It's not great, but there's twist after twist after twist. Some which genuinely made me go, how did somebody write this?
Yes.
So
Okay. Let me guess. She was Argyle the whole time.
holy shit! How did you do that? So basically, the whole plot focuses around Ellie Conroy, who was a secret agent. Right. basically Ellie was this character called Rachel Kyle. And the whole thing is that she was Agent Rachel Kyle, Agent R. Kyle, Argyle. Holy shit. And for my name to be used in such a disgusting way, I was quite upset in the theatre, which already knocked this film down a few points. But the whole kind of plot around it is that there's this magical MacGuffin of it includes every agent ever sort of thing. Very Mission Impossible one like.
The list.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And basically, she found its location 10 years ago, and an accident happened and knocked her memory out. And the villains basically find her and kind of like set her up post amnesia to be this writer, hoping that she writes everything out and tells them eventually where it is because she knew where she hid it. And and Sam Rockwell was her kind of love interest stroke.
Why are they coming after her if they?
Well, because I think everybody else knows that the other guys, the good guys, know that she's about to say it in her final book, and they're trying to rescue. That's a very good point, to be honest.
Because like if they planted her specifically to do it, and they're just waiting for her to write the last book to give up.
Well, I think it's because Sam Rockwell kidnaps her and like all this sort
sets
of
the whole
stuff.
thing into motion.
Yeah.
No, because I'm wondering, because I know like when it comes to like mediocre films that try to do a lot of twists, I always remember the Now You See Me one where like it makes absolutely no fucking sense if you watch it a second time because the twist just ruins the entire setup of the movie. So I'm wondering if it's that.
Well, no, this twist
Yeah.
is very obvious, and I think in the first 2 minutes, personally. There's a book signing.
I guessed it, and I haven't even seen the trailer. So
well, no, there's a book signing in the first like 4 minutes or something. You have a wee Henry Cavill flashy pack thing, right? And you have this book signing, and somebody asks her, you know, your things are always quite, you know, related to real life events, and then they started listing off like, you know, Ian. Oh crikey, who's the Bond offer? Ian
Fleming.
Ian Fleming. He was like, he was found out to be a real life spy or had it. Could this be the same with you? And she just laughs, and I'm like, well, yeah, clearly this is the plot.
What else did you like or not like about Argyle?
I have to admit, like, so the first kind of 20 minutes was actually quite enjoyable. There's a really fun action sequence on a train when Sam Rockwell first comes to kind of rescue her. He's in like he looks like a kind of hillbilly kind of disguise, maybe a backtracker. And there's this thing where it happens where obviously it's meant to be her kind of doesn't really understand reality, where when she's witnessing Sam Rockwell fight, it will cut to replacing him with Henry Cavill. Now,
that's cool.
I genuinely feel this is only because they were like, we need to have Henry Cavill in for more than 3 minutes of this film to properly use him for marketing. But it kind of works out quite funny in these fighting scenes, because what will happen is Henry Cavill will be the one delivering all the major punches, and then as soon as he's about to get hit, it switches back to like a really raggedy Sam Rockwell who gets thrown around. And I have to admit, I actually sat there and I was like, that is quite enjoyable.
That is funny.
But apart from that, I have to say, Sam Rockwell, I swear to God, he was trying. That man was giving it all. He was having fun on set. He knew that this was shit, probably, and he was like, I'm going to have a fun time doing this. And that was grand.
That's the only reason I wanted to really, the only reason I wanted to watch the movie. I wanted to see what he did with it, you know? I'm like, I've seen him have fun in mediocre films.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston, once again, has fun with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
The major thing that actually upsets me with this is that there's such a strong cast here that you are just wasting, to be fairly honest. These flashback scenes with Henry Cavill and John Cena, you're like, God, that's a kind of a fun chemistry. I would have loved to have seen more. There's not that much. They're not even flashbacks. They're flashbacks, but they're not. It's
like imaginary kind of like projections.
But as it goes on, I think the action kind of worsens and worsens. The CGI in this film is quite shocking at times. The cat, you cannot use a real life cat in some scenes and then switch it to a very obvious CGI cat. It is so so jarring.
That looked really bad.
And then this whole thing of twist after twist after twist. There's this whole point that I want to quickly explain where. So the agents. So you have Agent Argyle, or Henry Cavill stroke Bryce Dallas Howard, Adrian Wild, who's just Sam Rockwell stroke John Cena, and then you had a final character which was Kira, who you find out died in the one of the missions. She got shot. No, this is kind of like in the story of the book, and she dies, and she got shot in the heart and she dies. And then later in the film, there's a sequence where there's basically a Winter Soldier-esque, switching of character, where somebody yells like a bunch of words at Bryce Dallas Howard and triggers her into the Winter Soldier. She shoots Sam Rockwell in the heart, and you think he's dead, and then he lives. And then she goes, how did I live? And she goes, well, a fan sent in a thing going, there's a tiny little gap in the heart, and if you shoot them in that 2mm
Wait a
gap...
minute, that's taken from Stranger Than Fiction by with Will Ferrell and Emma Thompson. That is like verbatim.
Wait a second. It gets better. So she was like, Sam Rockwell, yeah, I did this because a fan messaged me, and she went, and that's how I was going to bring back the character of Kira in the book for the 5th book. Yeah. At the end of it discovers that was Kira. Kira, the real life Kira, was the fan that sent her a message. And it's at this point you're like, this is meant to be the 8th twist of the film, and you're like, I don't give a shit about who is Kira. I don't even know this character.
Okay, so
yeah. Sorry.
The thing about movies with so many twists is that you get like lost in there's a new twist now, and you kind of lose the characters' arcs. Do the characters have any arcs in these movies?
No, not really, actually. Okay. Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard discovering who she is, but I'm pretty sure from what she said that she was never actually a double agent, so there is actually no arc.
Okay,
there was no like... There was
I thought so, yeah.
There was no somebody that was the bad guy. There's no like Knights of the Old Republic where you are Raven and you come back from the amnesia and you go, oh, actually, I've learned how to be a good person.
Good game.
And there's a brilliant first person perspective that he likes to use, but he shows the eyelashes, and I hated that. Just want to say that, right?
From the POV you see
it's the POV, but you see the eyelashes.
You just see these bushy things.
It's so bizarre.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Right, okay, what are you going to give Agent Argyle then?
I mean, nothing surprising here. It's a 3 out of 10. It's genuinely...
Oh, wow.
I have to admit, it's worse than The Golden Circle, which I particularly didn't like.
Bad.
Okay.
That was bad.
It's bad.
See,
but the thing is, The Golden Circle, I had the characters.
The action scenes are gorgeous.
Well, they're fine.
Yeah.
They're good, but I think The Golden Circle, I had the kind of backing of this last film that I was quite excited about.
So you actually cared about some of the characters.
And then there's a weird Kingsman teaser at the end of it.
I really hated the Kingsman. I think I actually like the Golden Circle more than I like the Kingsman, just because that one had so much potential. The Kingsman,
but I really do because
I did not like it.
Well, no, my issue is I don't want to say I'm a fan of the post-credit scene without watching the film. To which I'm a mega fan of that
post-credit scene is I think it's kind of disgusting actually when you think about it.
It's horrific, but I think it's the best. I think it's the best post-credit scene out there. But yeah, it's a 3 out of 10. Nothing special, nothing good any.
Matthew Vaughn, what a strange kind of downfall he's gonna have had as a director. He's doing like X-Men First Class and Kick-Ass and
I feel like
Stardust, and even the first Kingsman I think's alright.
Yeah, the first Kingsman's fantastic. I really liked it. I think it probably has to do with the writing more than anything. I don't know if he wrote them or just directed them, but I feel like there's a certain directors that are really strong when it comes to visual storytelling and very, very weak when it comes to actually.
I'm pretty sure he has written a lot of his projects he's directed anyway as well.
I would be interested for you to watch this, Gonfalo, because there are some visual points that I don't know if it's because by the time of where they are in the film, I was like, no, you can't.
I don't care.
You can't do this to me now because you've given me shit for the past hour.
Yeah.
It's like, like that one cool scene that gets clipped for YouTube Shorts that is the only good scene in the movie that has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, let's move on to American Fiction then, which finally came out here in the UK.
Yes.
Like I said, nominated for 5 Oscars, including Best Actor, Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, as well as Best Supporting Actor for Sterling K. Brown, and Best Music, Best Original Score. It was directed by Cord Jefferson and adapted by Cord Jefferson as well, which is based on the book by Percival Everett. And so We begin with Thelonious Monk Ellison. He's called Monk by his family. Um, and so he's this kind of disgruntled, very bitter, angry English professor who's also a novelist, and his books have never been that successful. Um, and so he's finding his students are becoming too thin-skinned as well. And after an outburst, he's actually told to take a break from teaching. During this time,
Good decision.
he returns home and
Yeah.
finds that his family's in crisis. His mum is ill,
Hmm.
and other things happen with his sister and his brother as well, which I won't spoil here. Um, and also, he's also at the same time, as well as having all these family problems, he's also very frustrated with the state of modern literature, which is implemented by the author Sintara Golden, who's played by Issa Rae here, who writes a new book, which has become this very acclaimed novel called Wheeze Lives in the Ghetto. And Monk finds books like these very exploitative, profiting off of the same black stories that have been like recycled and recycled and recycled, and he feels that black authors and black stories are just kind of has to be the same sort of stuff, has to be about ghettos and gang life and poverty or slavery even, and he's finding himself very bittered by that. And so to sort of make a point of that, he decides to follow in the footsteps of Sintara Golden and make a exploitative black novel, to sort of make fun of it. But what he's actually doing is creating the next biggest hit in literature, and is going to become a very, very rich man to his own disappointment. So that is American fiction.
That's a good premise. That is
That's
a very
the premise
good
for
premise.
American fiction.
Do you find out that what he's writing is actually a past life and it's just amnesia? Because I'm quite upset by what you've been talking about, and I really hope this flips.
Honestly, yeah, if that doesn't happen, a total disappointment.
Yeah. No, well, I'll tell you what I like about American fiction. There's also a love story that goes on as well. As well between Monk's character and Coraline, who's played by Erica Alexander. So there's kind of a lot going on. There's this whole family story, and there's Sterling K. Brown's character as well, Clifford, who's dealing with his own sexuality, and you have this stuff about this whole American literature problem that he's facing, and feels that as he says in the film, like he doesn't see race. Well, a white man takes the cab that he was meant to take. It's quite a funny visual gag. The American fiction off the bat, I thought was really, really funny, really witty, very on the pulse, and it raised a very interesting issue, right? Because these stories, these sort of African American stories that have sort of been recycled and recycled, and he actually is at one point flicking through this TV channel, and it's like black stories, and it's just like it's all the typical stuff that I've just said. And then even in when he goes into a bookshop, he goes to see his own books, and they're in black fiction, and he says, but they're not black stories. There's like this what has like a white main character, and then the guy who's serving him's like, but you're black, so they're black stories. It's like, but they're not. And it's just that sort of like criticism and what like it's all kind of typecast and put into the same old fields. And it really reminded me actually of when Tenet came out, and John David Washington was starring, and in that film he's just the star of the film, and it goes along, and race is never mentioned once in the entire film. He's just the main character. And what I found really alarming online was that people really appreciated that. People were like, black people were really, really responsive. I'm like, this is great. We have like an action hero that race is never brought up. We don't have to talk about it. It's just par for the course. And then that was when it really dawned on me. I was like, I never really thought about it, because when we have white such and such, you got your John Wicks or your Tom Cruises or whatever. We never think about it. We don't think about race at all. No. Of course we don't. And it sort of really brought that to mind, and it really made me realize, I'm like, why is it that when we have black actors or these stories, it's like it's always race is always brought up as an issue? And it was really, really on the pulse, really, really sharp with that sort of criticism about stuff like that. Very, very funny. Jeffrey Wright up for best actor for this. I think I really like his performance. I think it is really good. He's just this disgruntled man, so bitter about everything in his life. And when it comes to the emotions, because there is the film like suddenly does jump between some serious emotional plot lines as well. It feels very natural. The tonal shift is never really jarring or anything, and Jeffrey Wright really does feel the struggle and sort of life crumbling into him, as well as just being this really frustrated author. And I love Jeffrey Wright, man. I just like he's an absolutely terrific actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, as well as like I've got to say, Sterling K. Brown is a really really fun part of it as well, but also has a very somber storyline relationship with his mum. And yeah, I just also the love story, the chemistry between Jeffrey Wright and Tracee Ellis Ross as well. It's really really great.
Sounds like a fucking
I did
brilliant premise, honestly. It's
Yeah.
Tracee Ellis Ross, Eric Alexander, I
Yeah.
should say. It really is a very very. There's like a lot going on, but it's under 2 hours. It feels like it all comes together. It's very satisfying. All the characters have arcs, Gonzalo, unlike
wow,
Argyle.
incredible. They
and the
change
ending
and
as well.
grow. Wow, amazing.
They do. And the end well is I really really appreciated the ending. It's not it kind of goes in a it kind of has it plays with the whole like stereotypical stories stuff, and then it kind of goes into its own very natural kind of ending, a more realistic ending, I suppose. But yeah, I really liked American Fiction. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10.
Oh, I'm pissed, by the way. I think next time you're seeing Argyle, I'm sorry. I'm sitting here and listening to this. I'm like, my god, that genuinely sounds like a really good script and a really good story.
A fantastic story.
I didn't hear anything about a CGI cat. Like, if I had.
It's annoying because it's the kind of movie that I'm like, yeah, I actually would have liked to watch this. It sounds like a very light take on a very deep issue that explores it very thoroughly and stuff. And I'm like, damn, poor Kyle had to watch.
I'm actually quite upset.
He could have seen American Fiction. Kyle, you could have gone and watched that.
I didn't know American Fiction was out, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure I told you I was seeing it.
I don't think so. I would have been. Oh yeah, sorry. Excellent.
So,
8 out of 10.
Mean Kyle, well, I saw The Beekeeper the other week, and you saw Mean Girls, which was better than that. So
we had to watch The Beekeeper.
I would have rather seen The Beekeeper. I would have wanted to see. I wanted to know if they protected the hive. Yeah, but I think it would be funnier.
You don't want to see The Beekeeper.
You'd think so, but according to Lewis's review, it wasn't really. Like that's the thing.
Let's move on
to yeah, that's true.
Right.
I skipped all of these.
The second part of the show.
Yeah, second part of the show.
Let's talk about Spider-Man, something we've all seen. We've all seen most of the stuff anyway.
I've actually seen something for this episode. Yeah. Incredible. Who could have thought?
So, Kyle, are you getting up the tier list?
It is up. It's
okay, great. It's up. I'm not seeing
because you guys can't see me. Well, yeah. So if you guys get yours up,
second screen, so I'll mimic whatever we decide, so I can keep up with what's
going on. Let me. I'm gonna order these up, by the way, because I like them in order. So there. There. That goes there. I think.
Interesting.
I don't even know what I'm watching. I just know what films are there.
Yeah, so you just know it's there, but it's all beautifully laid out. Now, I don't know. I'm gonna ask you, Lewis, just so you know, I can change. Do you want to keep them as S, A, B, C, D, and F, or do you want to change them up? Like
we'll just keep them as that.
The scoring, keep them as that.
Enough,
it's not how we usually rank films, but let's just go for it.
Yeah, let's just do it. So I guess we're starting with the first Spider-Man then.
First Spider-Man.
Sam Raimi.
Yes, we're going to start with Sam Raimi Spider-Man. I've got that one here.
Yeah, the film that changed cinema for better or for worse.
It changed it, that's for sure.
It changed everything.
It really did. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is a really interesting film, in my opinion, because you see contemporary takes on superhero and specifically Marvel adaptations at the time that try to take away from the campiness, that try to make it more gritty and try to make you take it super seriously and stuff. We see that in the X-Men where they're wearing black leather and they're super cool, and it's let's focus on how it's a metaphor for queerness and let's just bring it all down and make it a terrorist organization, blah blah blah. And then you have Sam Raimi and he's like, no, I'm just gonna straight up
double down,
do the fucking corniest shit in the world. I am surprised that was their pick for a director. And I've never been happier. Very odd pick, coming from the Evil Dead movies. But I do not think there could have been a better take on a first take on Spider-Man. I fucking love this movie. I have a lot of nostalgia for it, but I thankfully was able to rewatch it recently with my girlfriend
Nice.
Hannah, who had never seen it. And
Oh,
I
what an
What?
experience!
That's mad.
I
Yeah.
recommend watching these movies, like a movie that you really like,
I've-
watching it through someone who has never experienced it,
Yeah.
especially when it's good. Holy
Uh-huh.
shit! Like watching
Yeah.
Ghostbusters with her was the most fun I've ever had in my fucking
Yeah,
life.
Afterlife. Yeah.
No, no, not that one. Yes.
I just want to talk about my
Yeah.
favorite thing about the first Spider-Man.
Yes.
That is Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker.
Yes.
It's just divine casting. I mean, look, I know they all look kind of grown up, especially on the field trip.
Everybody
The
looks
teacher.
grown up. But I'm also
Look like
kind
a
of
really grown
glad
adult.
because like I don't really like
Mm.
dealing with high schoolers and stuff. Like it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
So it's fine that they're grown up. It works for like you see them
it's-
have their love
I'm-
stories and stuff.
I'm happy that, especially within the first, let's say, 2 franchises, that they
Yeah.
only deal with high school in the first one, and then
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
kind of
You know,
go.
even only in half this film they deal with high school. They
Yeah.
kind of get the
Yeah.
graduations.
You know, he
Graduation's
graduates
there
Yeah.
and boom.
in the
let's
first
move on.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really love about this one, but
Mm.
I think for me, what really jumps out of this film is it's Willem
Mm.
Dafoe.
Willem
Willem
Dafoe,
Dafoe.
Yes, Willem Dafoe.
I
Fantastic.
Willem
I
Fantastic
would
film.
I would just watch the Willem Dafoe
Mm.
cut of this film, and it's just his scenes.
I
Um,
met him in this movie. This is my first exposure to Willem Dafoe as a child,
Mm.
and God, I'm in love with that man. He's incredible. He's just such a good actor.
Oh my
this
God.
this series,
Yeah.
these 3 films, and especially the Fan
Mm.
Raimi, are probably the
Mm.
most quotable superhero film I've ever
Yes.
done.
Yes,
Like,
Yes.
absolutely, they're
you
brilliant.
can't do this to me. It's just he's
Yeah,
just
I
he's
love
so
that. I
good.
love that.
So good.
You know how much I've
So
sacrificed.
good.
or
So
or
good.
or the best one, which is
Mm.
you know I'm somewhat of a scientist
Oh,
myself.
sorry.
It's just
Oh, yeah.
golden.
I'm just saying, there's something about this Sam Raimi's take on Spider-Man that, like, outside of
Mm.
nostalgia, I really appreciate. And the older I've
Mm.
gotten, the more I can appreciate this. And it's
Mm.
his balls to be the corniest fucking
Yeah.
man in the universe.
Yeah.
Like, half of this
Yeah.
trilogy is Spider-Man crying like a baby.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. It's
it's
great.
fantastic. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want it any other way. It
Mm.
doesn't have that layer of irony that we're gonna see later.
Mm.
It doesn't have that detachment of I'm super cool.
Mm.
Please don't look any further. Like
Yeah.
it's like full on, like
Yeah.
dramatic.
And that's what I was saying with
raw
Tobey
and
Maguire.
vulnerable. Yeah.
Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. He looks the part. He sounds the part.
Yes.
I mean, he just like he really to me embodies like the best on-screen Peter
Uh-huh.
Parker I think we've
Yes.
ever had. I think the casting of Uncle Ben and Aunt May and the relation,
Yes.
the dynamics between those 3 feels so
Incredible.
homely and sweet.
Did you
and
know
just
that
loving.
Michael Jackson
Uh-huh.
was originally gonna play Uncle Ben?
No way.
Yes,
Really?
he's the reason that these movies were actually bought by Sony. That Marvel
Yeah,
bought, like
he
Sony
was
bought
he
the
was
things.
he wanted to
He was
buy
ge-
it.
He wanted to, yeah, he wanted to buy it. He convinced Sony to buy it, and then he got just like pushed over. But he was originally going to play Uncle Ben, and I
then
just
they gave it
don't
to
think
Avi
he would have.
Arad.
I'm so glad he didn't because
Right.
this Uncle Ben is the Uncle Ben. Like we even see
So-
it in the Spider-Man version. Like when we see the Uncle Ben, like they're clearly going at modeling him after this Uncle Ben, and I just such Aunt May also a fantastic character, and like
Yeah, she's the
Right.
she's the
She's
best Aunt May
brilliant. She's
ever. Rosemary
brilliant.
Harris.
She's
I love
I'm
her.
I'm gonna be the
Um,
referee here because we got 13
okay.
of these films to
Yes,
get
yes.
through.
I know.
Yes,
Where,
very
where
quick,
are we
very
where are we
quick.
placing this one?
Not
Val
my
is never quick with you. It's never quick with you.
not my favorite suit, because I'm going to talk about my favorite suits as we go along.
No,
Not my favorite
okay.
Spider-Man
Hey,
suits.
well, no, let's
Okay,
be generous. It's early.
No.
It's early.
Yes,
It's early.
yes.
Right, okay, I'm going to put my vote in. I think, some of the CGI is a bit rough. Some of the acting...
It's
well,
20
we
years
get
old.
to-
I'm going to give it an A.
I know.
I'm
Some of the
an A.
action can be a bit rough. I'm an A tier. I'm an A tier, guys.
I'm-
Well,
I'm
James
an A
Franco
tier as well.
wasn't the
We're
best
gonna
either.
we're gonna
tier.
put it
Yeah.
as an A tier.
A
Right.
tier. Let's
Wonderful.
go. Yes.
Spider-Man 2.
S. I mean, let's just...
S
Do we- like,
Do
should
we
we-
need to keep
Right,
talking
let's-
about this
I'm
movie?
gonna we'll move it into the S, but we can quickly discuss why.
Okay.
Alfred Marino's Doc Ock. I mean,
Yes.
you know, it's 2 out of
The-
3 of amazing villains in this franchise.
Mm.
You know, we'll discuss the next one in a minute. The story of Spider-Man No More
Oh,
Beautifully
brilliant.
done. Oh,
Uh-huh.
I don't. Do you know,
Incredible.
speaking of casting, we've not even mentioned
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah
Yes.
Jameson.
Oh
Oh my
my
How
god,
can
of
god.
we? How
Oh
course,
can we
my
J.K.
forget about
god.
Simmons.
that?
Yeah,
So good
yeah,
that they just brought him back for the Marvel ones.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because he's
Like,
like a
I'm
white
like,
boy like
it's
cast.
not
Yeah,
if it's not broke, don't fix it.
don't
You know.
fix
fix
it.
it exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
but yeah, I just like you're saying the story for Spider-Man 2 is
mm,
just like I was saying with this is why this trilogy well some of the most of these films work is because of the
mm,
story of Peter Parker. You know,
yeah.
they are really beating down on this guy. His life is just constantly just
Yes.
terrible.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
mistake and regret and stuff after stuff, and it
Yeah.
really. And that's why Spider-Man 2 is one
That's
of my
why
absolute
he
favorite
works
comic book
Yeah.
as a
films ever.
Spider-Man.
It's
That's
because
why I like him as a Spider-Man.
it's
Yeah.
so human. Just this guy who eventually just can't take it anymore and just like I have to stop, and it's brutal,
Yeah.
and then that leads to just an absolutely like euphoric rise where you get to
Yeah.
that climactic scene on the train, and then the energy. I forgot what it's called. The something
Oh, the
reactor
big
sun
reactor
thing.
thing. The
Yeah,
sun,
yeah,
the
Yeah, the
mini sun,
power of the
the tiny
sun.
sun. Tiny
yeah,
sun.
Power of the
Yeah,
Sun
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like I just think as a story
The
and the
palm of your
pace of it
hand.
and the structure of it and the relationships, and I actually do think
Mm,
Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane Watson's character is
mm.
better in this film,
Yeah.
just because of the
Yes.
story it
She
surrounds her with
gets.
and
She
the
also
whole
gets a lot
uh-huh,
more to do and a lot
uh-huh,
more like
yeah,
Is
her like
this?
whole dynamic with Peter and stuff and the whole like
mhm,
oh you're letting me down like I
Yeah.
feel
yeah,
like
yeah,
that's the key for me with
uh-huh,
the Spider-Man that with Tommy Maguire you get a Spider-Man that like
mhm,
he has literally no reason
uh-huh,
to be as good of a person as he is.
yeah,
Everything in his life is pushing him to become a villain. And like we
yeah,
see this in every single one of these movies, even the third one, we see how people who went through the same shit that he went through become
mhm,
villains. And
yeah,
despite having every single reason and justification to go evil, because life keeps fucking him up
mhm,
over and over
yeah,
again, he chooses not to be. And I think
yeah,
that's the fucking key that we are not
yeah,
gonna see
uh-huh,
again for a long
yeah,
time in this
Now,
list.
and it's. Uh-huh.
no, no, sorry, Lewis, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's that dramatic irony thing with Mary Jane. It's like you can completely understand as a person why
Yeah,
she'd not want to
a
do this.
hundred percent.
He is constantly letting her down, and obviously she has no idea. And that sort of, I mean, that obviously, as an audience member, you're like raging,
Yeah,
frustrated with
but
it,
like
and
good
it's
for
just,
her,
it's brilliant.
honestly. Good
Yeah,
for her,
absolutely.
because
Sorry,
yeah.
Ken, what were you, what were you
I
going
have
to say?
to. I'm looking at the poster that they use for
Yeah,
the thumbnail. Oh,
mhm.
it's such an iconic photo. I'm
It's
pretty
so
sure.
good. It's so
so
I'm
good.
good.
pretty sure I have
Uh-huh.
that as a
Mhm.
poster as a child.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But I just have to say I love everything about this film.
Mhm.
Once again, you've got pizza time. You've just got top down. I love that little montage of it
Yeah.
singing in the rain, and he's just
Yeah.
walking around.
Yes. Yes.
Oh no, it's
And the fact that Sam Raimi
Justin,
just hit him with a
Cameron Rose.
bag in the
Yeah.
scene, and he had a vendetta against him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raindrops
I
keep
think
falling on my head. That was it.
you
Yeah.
know the
Mhm.
action really just
Oh, it's a
kind of
level
Oh,
up,
it's
man.
it's a
gorgeous. It's
level up.
gorgeous. And
One thing
it's
I love with
incredible
these
how well
films.
the CGI like holds up
Oh
for
yeah,
this
well
specific
Yeah.
movie specifically.
you know, because
Because
they
like
use the
it's not
practical
great.
arms as
That's the
well.
thing. It's not great, but they use it sparingly and they use it when they have to.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah,
like in those white shots when you're seeing Doc Ock climbing up the building, that's CGI and it looks
Yeah.
dodgy at times, but because those important moments are like as practical as possible. That fucking scene in the hospital, man, that
Yeah.
terrified the
yeah.
shit
That
out of
is
me
good.
as a
That is
I
kid.
good. It's
also
still actually, fun fact, it's
Yeah.
still the only superhero film in history to win an Oscar for visual effects. So
Wow.
there you
is
go.
it.
It's still the only one that did it. Yeah.
I get it.
Um,
I get
I
it.
mean,
you get
controversial
it. Of course
opinion.
you do. Yeah. Yeah.
But we have to state the obvious fact that Lewis knows this
Yeah.
true. This is actually a deep take for me and Lewis. That Aunt May dies in this
Alright.
film.
Oh
There,
my god.
there's a scene where she's lying in the table and the
Yeah.
girl's dead.
Yeah.
Rewatch it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But anyway, Spider-Man
Yeah.
Quickly,
3.
speaking
This,
of May,
Yeah.
yeah.
that scene in the garden when she inspires him to be
Oh,
Spider-Man
okay.
again.
Yeah.
Oh my
With
god,
the
it's
kids,
beautiful.
with
Even-
it's the
dude.
neighbor, isn't it?
Fantastic.
Dude, even
Yeah.
the scene with Alfred Molina before he starts his experiment with his wife there and how they're talking
Yeah.
about their love, like right
Mhm.
before we see the shards in slow motion tearing her apart. Like, holy fuck, man! This movie goes
Yeah.
way harder than it needed to go. Like,
I
it's
know.
incredible,
I have
and
nothing
his
to-
self-sacrifice at the end. Oh,
Yeah.
It's
such
Anyway, S
So
tier.
good.
Let's
So
move on to
good.
Spider-Man
right.
3.
God.
This
Okay.
I think this is an issue for me because this is a moonfall.
This is an issue.
This is a moonfall.
I don't think
and
it's
by
that bad.
moonfall,
It's not that
no,
bad.
no,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
but it's bad. But also, it's possibly my favorite because of it.
Is it that
Yeah.
bad though?
It's
Is
not-
it that bad?
I don't think
This
it's
is
that
an
bad.
issue.
I
No,
think-
we have an issue. I say it's bad
Yeah.
in certain aspects.
Yes.
The villains,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Let's say
Not good.
I think the Sandman story so unique,
Sandman's
actually
fantastic.
quite got an
Fantastic.
emotional plot to
Great
it,
stuff.
Yes,
overshadowed
yes.
by snowboarding Green Goblin
Green Goblin.
and
Yes.
Topher Grace
Yes.
Venom.
Venom.
Yes.
The fact that Topher Grace left that 70 show for this is genuinely shocking
Yeah.
to a bone.
It's really funny. Yeah.
But
Although I
apart
will
from
say,
that, is it bad? Like,
I will say,
Look, it's
I
so-
don't think Topher
Uh-huh.
Grace was a bad cast for Venom because he's got that like
Really?
annoying incel energy that Venom has in
No,
some of the
no,
adaptations.
but this is the thing
the
where
execution of the story doesn't really work.
no, I think
no.
it would have been great if, like
Yeah.
what they did with having Harry Osborn in the first two, kind of building up
Mm.
this tension,
He should
having
have been the
Eddie
main
Brock
one. Yeah.
being another high school friend that feels like he's being
Mm.
shunned by Peter Parker the entire time.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
would have delivered
I
it.
would have deleted Eddie Brock and I would have made Harry Venom.
Yeah, just make
I
Harry.
would have made
Venom.
Harry Venom.
Yeah, do a
I would've just
Spider-Man
made Harry
2.
I mean, I know they
video
sell
game.
the.
Yeah.
Look, it's kind of all there because Oscorp could have funded some sort
Yeah,
of space.
They would have been the ones who
And-
could have found that thing.
Yeah.
It could have been because of Harry that like Spider-Man got infected in the first place. It could have been him that like, or they could like, it could have been the company that found the thing. Like we see a lot of like background shitty things that the Osborn company's doing in the first one.
Yeah.
Like it could have
Yeah.
been a possibility that they found the symbiote after Peter Parker lost it kind of thing, and then like they could have done stuff.
It is. It is
Three
kind of
villains are
baffling
too
they
many
just
fucking
didn't-
villains.
They just didn't go for that option because
Yeah.
I know Sam Raimi didn't want to do Venom.
Yes,
right?
yes, that was
And
the
he wasn't
studio
interested in
push.
the
That was the
character.
studio push,
But
and it
surely-
shows. It shows because he
Yeah.
didn't really like.
Put effort
Like
into
the thing is,
character.
he did. Yeah, like he didn't. He clearly didn't have a thing like an emotional back to Venom in this
Well, that's what I
movie.
mean. Surely you just go, right, I got to make a compromise here. I know I've kind of set up, he goes into the Green Goblin's lair. Who gives a fuck? Just move on and just like, I just make him Venom.
Yeah.
It gives Harry an equal power thing. He's got that hatred. He's got that
And
literal
how
Venom.
how
you know?
incredible it would
Yeah.
have been to see Harry versus like Peter as
Peter
like
as
the
Venom.
big kind of thing. Yeah, like that would have been
Well,
a big kind of
I
like,
mean-
showdown thing.
Moving past that, I want to kind of say
Yeah.
that I think
Yeah.
I love Tobey Maguire in this film because I think he does Dick Parker brilliant. Black Suit
Yeah.
Parker.
I have no
I
issues
mean,
with that, by the way. That
the
performance is
dance-
great. I have no issues with that. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
That's because it works because we've seen this man for
Yeah.
the last two films and we know what he's like.
We
right?
know what he
So
thinks
he
cool
doesn't- He
is.
can't just become cool.
Yeah.
He has to be like a dork who
Yeah.
thinks what he's
Yeah.
doing is cool.
He's
That's why it works.
again like
Uh-huh.
he plays basically like that creepy guy who thinks he's all that, who's
Yeah.
actually just a
Yeah.
creep. Like he's
Yeah.
like a nerdy kid who's like out for revenge because he wants to be the cool
Uh-huh.
kid now. Like it's pathetic and it's horrible,
know,
but we're supposed to
he's-
not like it.
He's in his shitty apartment, leaning up with the phone,
Mm.
chatting with the landlord's daughter, going, "Yeah, get me more cookies and milk." Like he thinks he's
Yeah.
meant to be really cool, but it's so not cool.
Exactly.
Such
I mean,
a dick.
but also, it always kind of baffled me that people really believe that it's like, oh my god, is this what Sam Raimi thinks is cool? That's embarrassing, emo Parker. And it's
Yeah,
like,
it's like, no,
in
that's
the
what
sequence
Peter
with the
Parker
James
thinks
Brown
is
song.
cool. Yeah,
The James Brown song is playing,
yeah.
and he's walking through the street. They literally do a POV,
Love
and
it.
People are like-
the women are looking
Women
at him
are
up and
so
down, like,
shocked.
are kind of just appalled by this guy. He never once, no one's like flaunting to be with him.
Hmm.
Well, maybe Gwen Stacy, which is a bit weird, but
She was
with
also
that- with
a
that
random. I think she was
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
there
She
so
was
that
only
they
there
gave
because they wanted
for
yeah.
Eddie Brock. No, they had to give Eddie something
Yeah.
to be annoyed at Peter
Yeah.
with.
yeah.
So they had the Gwen
Which is
character.
annoying
introduced.
because let's be honest, Gwen deserves better, and that Gwen could have been a really interesting character.
We could
Yeah,
have had fun
absolutely.
with that Gwen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can we talk about the suit? Because I think
Yes.
this is where I almost live action
You hate the
circus
suit?
peak. No,
Yes.
the
Oh,
black
right. Oh,
suit.
you like this? You like the black suit? All right,
The
okay.
black suit!
Well, like,
Calm down.
I was like, what are you gonna say?
I will say, if you're gonna venomize any of the suits, I think this design was the perfect one to venomize because of that like rich thing that it has, that's
The kind of
Ah,
web,
yeah.
the
like
3D
it just
web,
works
yeah.
so well with like the whole
It
Venom
works as
kind of
like
thing.
see like a logistic idea of how the Venom
Yeah.
suit can make it track on. It works.
Yeah, it works really well.
You know, I'm not a fan of the Venom design of this
No,
film.
no.
Yeah.
Because it's
Not
too skinny. It's
horrible,
like
but it's not.
I
great.
honestly want like a middle ground of what we have in the kind
Yeah.
of world.
I like buff.
but-
I like buff Venoms.
But I'm gonna rush us here
Yeah.
because, like I said, we're gonna get through them.
Mm,
Where are we
yes.
putting this bad boy? Because this is hard for me.
I'm gonna.
Right, okay. Well, I also do want to. Another negative for me is I
Yeah.
really am not a fan of them doing the Mary Jane breakup
Yes, no.
storyline
Yeah.
in this.
No, they shove it in there, which is really annoying.
They
'Cause
shove it in. It's
we
like
literally just
slows
had
all down.
like
I
that's the
know.
thing. We literally just ended with Mary Jane and him becoming like a thing. I don't think they should have had like they should touch that relationship. I think that relationship was good, and I would have wanted to see her be supportive, like she was at the end of the last movie, because like we just went through hell in this sense, and it would have been nice to see both of them going through it.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
Right.
I'm
no
gonna say,
longer alone.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
E tier, right? Because I do have a lot of fun with Spider-Man 3.
Yeah,
B,
yeah. I
but
was
it's
gonna give
very
it C
flawed.
tier. Yeah.
C,
B tier.
C
C.
tier.
Yeah.
C,
I
C.
put it in C as well. Yeah.
C,
C
we're gonna put it in
for
C. Now,
coconuts. Yeah.
I'll put it in C. It could be a
Yeah.
B for me in the terms of
Yeah.
how
Wow,
I
that
just have-
high.
Wow.
Jeez.
Mate, it's just
so
personal
flawed, though.
love.
It's so flawed.
Yeah,
I know
it's
it's
so
so funny though.
Yeah,
this
it's
is
so
this is
funny.
the issue.
Yeah.
As a film, yes, it is a C, possibly
Yeah.
lower, but as enjoyment, my God, that's
And-
pushing up.
Yeah, and there are scenes in this movie that if you take them out of the movie are like S tier. Like
Yeah.
the Sandman
Sandman's short
transformation, like honestly, if
Yeah.
you just cut all of that out and make it one film,
Right.
S tier, great
Let's
stuff.
let's move on
Yeah, let's
to
move
the Dark Spider, what we want to call it, the Dark Knight
The
Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man.
Amazing
Yes.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
So the first of the reboots.
yes.
Very interestingly, if you want to know more, they did
Mm.
I can't remember the author, but it was the Reign of the MCU. Really good book,
Yeah.
and goes into a lot about the whole Sony acquisition of Spider-Man
Ooh,
and
interesting.
the kind of reason that they've did a lot. Now, obviously, the horrific disaster that was Spider-Man 3 led them to reboot
Yes.
because they needed to produce a Spider-Man film within 3 years,
because
or
otherwise
they
they'd
would
lose
lose the rights.
IP. Yeah.
which is what you've seen happen with Fox with the Fantastic Four films. So this is why,
Unfortunate, yeah.
if you look at it, it's kind of a rush production in sense of when they started
Yeah.
it to when it came
And,
out.
I will
This is
say,
where
I will
we,
say it's better than the production would have led you to believe it could be. Like, I would have expected it to be more of a disaster than it is. Like, it is a movie.
It's a movie, but it's a very boring movie.
It is a boring
think.
movie.
I think it's completely kind of forgettable. Look, I know Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone have a great chemistry. That's kind of undeniable.
I like Andrew Garfield's take on the
Uh-huh.
character. It's not as good in my eyes
Mm.
as Peter Parkery, but it's
Uh-huh.
it's a good take. He
Uh-huh.
seems to have a completely different arc. The way he's going
Mhm.
about it, it's less about like fighting, even though you have nothing left to fight for, kind of thing.
Yeah.
More of a
Yeah.
like learning responsibility kind of arc. That's kind
Yeah.
of like how he's playing the character, because they do shit
Yeah.
all with that. But like that's kind of how he's playing the character, the whole like learning responsibility. It's
Uh-huh.
like the first part of the first Sam Raimi movie, but like
Yeah.
lengthened out. So
For me,
it could have been an interesting take on Spider-Man. It
Yeah,
wasn't,
for
but
me,
it could have been.
I like the idea of doing a darker Spider-Man. I
Mm.
think is one that I'm completely open to. I think you can definitely do
Yeah.
some really
Yeah,
good
sure.
stuff with that. For me though, this one felt like trying, like it thought it was cooler and
Yes.
darker than it is.
Yes.
And
Also,
it
my
just
least
for
favorite
me
suit.
kinda-
My least
yeah,
favorite.
terrible
suit.
suit.
It looks like a
Yeah, no, I
basketball. I,
agree.
don't
Yeah.
like it. Why does it
And it
look like a
kinda-
basketball?
It looks like a
feels-
basketball.
It's like a basketball.
You know, it's funny.
You're
because
right. I've never
we
thought
came
of
off-
that.
It
Yeah,
does.
we've come off those 3 Sam Raimi films, and
Yeah.
you know they're shot completely differently, and they feel like worlds, and they have real heart to them, and great arcs in those films too. And then this one is one where it kind of feels like a corporation, a
Yes,
studio
100%,
directed this.
100%.
It didn't
And
feel like a
I will
vision like
say,
Sam's
they
vision.
tried to be
Yeah.
a dark Spider-Man. I think
Mm.
they are like overall way lighter than any of the darkest moments in the previous trilogy. Like
Yeah.
the
I think
darkest moments of
it's
Sam
hard
Raimi
to...
are way darker than
Yeah,
the
no, but
dark
I think
Spider-Man.
I think it's different type of kind of like darker atmosphere they were going for.
It's just like
I think
it's just like
Mm.
blue. The whole thing's
one
blue.
one thing I
Yeah.
really hate
Yeah.
about this film is the parents, in the sense of the backstory they try to give to his
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
This specifically comes up more in the second one, but it ruins
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
idea that
No, I don't like
the
it.
whole point of the
He's
character
just a fucking kid
is
from Queens.
he's meant to
Yeah.
be a random kid that gets given these abilities, and in this
Yeah.
film it
Yeah.
tries to... I mean, this gives to, you know,
Yeah.
there's extra stuff in here because Sony were really worried about everything, and they were trying to
They were trying to make it as
expand
long term as
so
possible
much.
to
Yeah.
catch as many people as possible into
Uh-huh.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Also,
yeah,
this was
still,
like midway through the start of like the MCU, so they were
this
like,
was
"Oh,
20...
this is working. Let's do."
12.
12.
12,
It
yeah.
was the same
Yep.
year as Dark Knight Rises and the Avengers.
Mm.
So,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm. Yeah, no.
Anyway.
Great. I also think the biggest sorry, I'll say just the biggest problem for me, just from the concept point of view, is make it an origin story again. Just
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
Just make him an older.
Yes.
Make him an old.
That's
he's been
that
Spider-Man
is
for
the
5
thing.
years
We'll
or
talk
whatever.
about it later,
just
but that's
go
the
with
thing
it.
I appreciate
Yeah.
about the MCU version, like
Yeah.
the fact that
Anyway,
they just.
I'm gonna go D tier on that one.
I'm gonna go
D
D tier this
tier.
one. Yeah.
I will happily go
Mm.
D tier with that one.
Look,
Yeah.
guys, look at it. This is going so
This is
pleasantly.
great.
Where are we
I
going to
do-
argue?
I-
I mean, come on.
See,
You
I
argued for a
think...
B over a C, but yeah.
I think... yeah, but that's an exception because of
Yeah.
the variety of that film.
Okay. We're gonna talk
I mean,
about the next
Spider-
one, or do we just put it in F? and
Do we
move
just...
on?
this is like the last Spider-Man 2 we had. We just put it in
Yeah.
S. I know
This
this
one's going
Amazing
in F,
Spider-Man
right?
2.
Yeah.
I'm putting it
It's
in
a
F.
complete mess.
It's
It's
F. It's F.
Is it
Yeah.
right? So we have D and F, right? Okay, because I'm thinking about later on what's coming up. So
Yes. We can put it on Have Not Seen. That's where
I
I'm most
no. I don't
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
any of the films can get lower than... Well, no, sorry. I've not
You
any of the
can
main
get lower
Spider-Man
than that.
films.
the
Sorry.
Spider-Man films.
I
can go
forgot
over
we
this.
had the extras.
Yes.
Mm,
Spoilers to how we feel about those. So,
Sonyverse. We love those.
but
yeah.
but in this film, what really kind of annoys me again is that this was a prime example of a corporation wanting to rush a universe.
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
There is
yeah.
no clear example. Just look at the basement full of origin stories, right?
Yeah.
Which I remember seeing it when I first saw this film and kind of going,
Mhm.
"All right, that's kind of cool." I mean, I liked how Doc Ock got his arms. I thought that was kind of
Uh-huh.
cool, and
Yeah.
you know, seeing Vulture's wings, you're like, "All right, maybe." But then
Mm.
seeing how a Vulture origin happened later on and did it kind of well, I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm so glad
Why?
it never happened. I'm so
that
glad
is
it
the
never happened.
most like, right, we need to get films out there.
My main issue with this is that the cast was actually really good. I really
Yeah.
like the casting
Mm.
choices. Like I would have made these casting choices for these villains and these supporting characters. I think that was the most thing. It's like I feel like there was a lot of squandered talent in these two
Oh,
films.
Paul
Yeah.
Giamatti as the Rhino. You're looking at an Oscar-winning
Great.
performance if
That's
you had another
hilarious.
film.
Yeah.
That could have been fucking great. Honestly,
Yeah.
like come on, that could
I
be really funny.
am the Rhino. It's
I mean, I'm
gold.
just trying to weigh up because I'm
Yeah.
trying to, I'm trying to make this as fair as possible. I'm trying to
Yeah.
weigh up all the good. I'm thinking of Andrew and Gwen and their
I
chemistry
like
again.
them. I like them. They
And I'm
have-
trying to think. Okay,
awkward
the
and
Gwen
cute.
Stacy death is handled pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I
I'm
like
just
the
thinking,
hands
but then
metaphor thing with like the
Yeah.
the
web
costume,
reaching out.
the
That's
suit,
cute.
the suit is good.
It's better than the
and
last one.
the swinging stuff looks great.
Yeah,
the
CG
swinging-
But then there's
good.
just absolutely everything else. It's a complete mess. It's
Yeah,
horrible.
you know,
it really is.
Electro is embarrassing.
Yes.
Green Goblin sucks.
Yeah.
Rhino's just
But
big
again,
neck thing.
Like
It's
you could
just-
imagine a universe where like, cause like that was a fantastic casting choice for like an Osborn. That was a fantastic choice for
Yeah.
Electro. It's just
Yeah.
the characters, the characterization they
Yeah.
went with, the designs they went with. Whew.
Mhm.
Big
Ugh.
oof.
It's just it's not a good looking film. It doesn't.
It's
It once again kind of feels dull. The blood plot line is just
Yeah.
moronic.
Oh god.
Once again,
it's
yeah,
just
pushing it. I think
yeah,
Backstory.
The-
He
do you know
turns out
what's
he's
funny?
super important. His parents were
Yeah.
spies. In the,
Well, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
The funniest thing with this film is that it could have been worse. like it
Yes.
physically could have, because they had cut
much, but yeah.
Mary Jane sequences that had the girl
yeah.
from the Divergent series. I can't remember her
Yes,
name.
True.
Shailene Woodley.
Yeah.
Shailene Woodley. Which would have just once again to put to. I think that would have destroyed the Gwen Stacy's death, because it's kind of
Oh,
like
yeah,
right,
definitely.
his one of his girlfriend dies, but he's got
It's like,
another
don't worry,
one.
he's got a spare
Uh-huh.
girlfriend in the
Yeah.
back.
You've
Yeah,
got
that
could've been
the
always,
deleted
right.
ending scene where his dad shows up,
Yes, yeah.
which I don't know. And then what you had, what I hated as much was the post this film releasing, their slate of everything going. After the leaks, they went, yeah, we're gonna have a Aunt May spy film from her in the 60s.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna have a Felicity Jones plays Black Cat in this, and you don't even realize because she's in it for one scene, and they're like, we're gonna have a spin off of her, and I'm like, let's calm down.
It's
here.
almost like Sony as a company was grasping at every single character in this universe to try to make their own spin-off movie. That, I don't see how that could have gone wrong. We won't see that go wrong in future, will we?
No, because they learned from this. They're like, right, we can't.
learned.
Just,
They
learn
always
from
learn
this,
from their
yeah.
lessons. They
we
always learn from
can't
their
learn.
just
I
chuck
I
out
also
a film.
Yeah.
also we never really talked much about Aunt May or Uncle Ben in the last one, like Sally Field.
She wasn't bad.
Just doesn't
It's
really
just-
feel like
she just had
an
nothing to
important
do.
presence
Yeah, she just had nothing to
in
do.
his life. Yeah, yeah.
She had
I
that
don't know,
hospital
man.
scene. Remember when
She
she was
does.
trying
At
to?
the hospital scene,
Remember
yeah.
she was a learning nurse or something, or she was in nursing school.
yeah.
She was there, and then in those scenes they really had to make her look like the most important person in that hospital, and she kept doing these like,
Yeah.
"Come on, guys," and you're like,
Oh my
"This
God.
is you're forcing this a
God.
bit."
Do you guys remember
It's
the
the most-
Do you guys remember the like kind of like 9/11 memorial scene that they have in the previous one, where like all the whole of New York works together to try to
Yeah.
save the
They
day?
do that in the first Spider-Man and
Yeah.
I
Amazing
know, but
Spider-Man
I
as
know,
well,
but
yeah.
it feels so fucking fake in this one. It feels so
I
forced.
think
I
that was a part of trying to recreate those really good, literally
Right,
post
it's
9/11
like-
sequences
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
Sam Raimi trilogy.
Oh man.
But I think we should just let's.
Yeah, let's
are we
just-
gonna
okay,
keep
let's
it in F?
Let's just put it in F. Talk about it, I'd never want to watch it. So
No.
Right.
No.
I would rather watch
Let's-
the Amazing Spider-Man one. So I guess on that,
I'm
front.
going to say we're going to let's move. Do you want to interconnect these next few, or do we should just do the Tom Hollands?
Should we?
We'll
yeah,
do
let's
Tom,
go.
We'll do Tom
Yeah,
Holland.
let's
just do Tom
finish
Holland.
the main live action Spider-Mans. Yeah.
Right. Okay, we're going to start with Homecoming, and then we've got Far From Home. and then
Okay.
we've got No Way Home.
So Homecoming. For some reason they decided, yeah, let's go for home titles for all of these. I don't know why.
No, I
very
think
odd.
I
Yeah,
think they
yeah.
did. I think they did the first one, and then by the
Yeah.
second one, they went, "Well, we
It
have
was
to
a
do it for the
joke.
third
Yeah,
one."
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. This was surprisingly nice.
that's a great way of describing it.
I think
Yeah.
Homecoming spoilers is probably the best out of the three Tom Holland ones for me.
Sure, for sure.
I think that's just me.
It has one
um,
major issue, and like
Is
we
it the
talked
Iron Man
about it.
stuff?
Iron Man exists.
Yeah.
Iron Man
Yeah.
exists, and it takes away from
We
a
know.
lot
Yeah.
of.
It's like
things.
everyone knows. Yeah.
So it's got that main
It's
issue.
really what the issue with that is. I think that is because of the decision Sony made with rebooting it with the Andrew Garfield
Yeah.
ones. That
Yeah.
Marvel, especially Disney, had to make sure that this was very known to be
A Marvel.
their
one.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
as much as there was never really many posters of Spider-Man in the Civil War. Like there was
Definitely.
nothing
Yeah.
huge marketing, so they had to do something.
No,
to
because
go,
it was like
"Listen,
a last minute
Yeah.
as well.
You know, I have to say this probably has the worst official poster I've ever seen of a Spider-Man film.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
terrible,
that-
it sucks.
terrible posters. Actually,
Really
all the,
crowded
all
one?
the Tom Holland
Yeah,
Spider-Man
yeah.
posters are
Are
terrible.
terrible, absolutely
The
terrible.
the last one
I like
think
the
is
Andrew
better
Garfield
because
more.
they can't show much in the last one where they have just the
yeah,
Doc Ock
that's
arms
true.
coming out.
They have like the.
It looks bad.
Yeah,
though.
but it's not
It
bad.
looks
It's
bad.
It looks
bad.
really
Yeah.
fake.
but
and
it's
just
not.
nothing.
It's
just like
not as
I
bad
will
as that
say-
first one.
You know.
I will say
Mm.
one of my favorite suits. Especially, I really love the suit that we see in the like very few flashbacks in Civil
Mm.
War with like the hoodie and stuff. I
The
think that was
although no, you
fantastic.
get the
Yeah.
the homemade suit. I mean,
The homemade
I think
one.
yeah.
It's
as
it's
a
really good.
trilogy alone, I think what they do with the suits works well if they make a fourth one where they take everything back and he goes back to
absolutely.
the silk
Yeah.
suit.
Right. Okay. Putting the Iron Man and suit stuff aside, just kind of focus on everything else in the film. Tom Holland, really good, really
Very
charismatic. I like
charismatic.
him
He's
as
great
Peter
fun.
Parker. Obviously, not really nerdy or as like put down as Toby or anything
No,
like that.
no. The problem is that like the
Mhm.
narrative doesn't really punch him down,
Mm.
but he does
Yeah.
have that kind of like nerdy kid energy, I think,
Yeah,
and he's got
I
more of a
really
kid
do.
energy for sure
Yeah,
than any
I
of the
do
others.
really kind of like the innocence of it. These
Yeah.
guys going like was it maths? I can't remember what they're called in the States. These like
Math
quizzes.
mathletes.
Yeah,
It
mathletes.
was
Math,
like
Yeah, yeah,
something.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that sort of stuff and him having to juggle that and the vulture
yeah.
stuff and all at the same time. Very Spider-Man, very good.
Yes.
I like Ned. I like Ned.
Yeah, that's
Honestly,
great.
Ned's fun.
That's a great character.
Aunt May films I don't really care for either. Like I don't really feel the relationship that strongly. Like
It annoys me in the later
in
ones
those
because they
Spider-Man films.
try to pull on the Aunt May relationship, because I
I
really
Yeah,
felt in
he's
this one they
very
were just
heavy-handed.
sitting
Yeah.
back,
I
especially in
hate
the
what they've done
sequel.
in this trilogy so
Uh-huh.
much.
It is an issue where they kind of have her there, and then they're kind of
Yeah,
like,
they have it
we're
there.
not gonna, because like
Mm.
she's replaced by Tony Stark basically,
Ye-
right?
Yeah, basically, exactly.
Yeah.
That is the problem. The action
Yeah.
stuff's decent, and of course, Michael Keaton's the Vulture, great villain,
Fantastic.
great twist,
Fantastic. Yes.
great twist.
I actually
really like that
gasped.
twist.
I actually
Brilliant,
gasped and
brilliant
said it.
twist. Actually, I thought that was
I
actually
thought
I
it
really
was
really
class.
like that twist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I feel
And-
like it's that moment where like we the audience know what the fuck's going on, and
Uh-huh.
then the character learns it, and now it's like this tense kind of scene.
Yeah.
I think
that
that
car
worked
scene
really,
was
really
really
well.
good.
Really,
Like,
really
Yeah,
good,
absolutely.
really good. The
Great
kitchen
scene
scene and the
attention.
card scene, that was
And
fantastic.
the scene where he has to, save the elevator and the ferry as well, I think
Yes.
those are really good Spider-Man scenes as well,
Yes.
having to really use his wits and stuff. Although he has the AI thing, which kind of falls
Yeah.
over,
But I
I
do
love
like
the-
that he feels very like friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I think
Yeah.
there's a
Yes.
focus on the neighborhood kind of like side of
Well,
Spider-Man.
that's what I'm
We
saying.
don't yeah.
he's not singing as much through the city. You have that really fun
yeah.
bit where he's going through the suburbs.
Yeah, I
And he's
wish we
like-
had that in all
Yeah,
the
he's
films.
like,
Yeah.
how do I do that? And then he comes to a golf field and he's like, oh shit, I have to run. Like, I don't have to, he goes, whoosh, and he's like,
That was really good. That was really
it's
good.
it's a fun film. Like I
No,
said,
yeah, I also think it's a great thing for taking the suit off him for
Yeah.
the final fight.
Oh, 100%.
Going in his
Yeah.
old school, I think that's a great idea.
100%.
One that they really should have doubled down in. And stuff.
Yes,
But
yes.
Avengers Infinity War, but anyway.
Especially given the ending of this
Yeah.
film and how he
Yeah.
refuses the thing and stuff. and
Yes.
it would have been so great if
But we
Yeah.
have an Avengers film next year, man. Sorry, we're going to space, babies. Putting it on. That's what we got to do.
That's a Marvel
Yeah, I
problem,
mean-
though. I guess that's a
Yeah,
that's a
that's a
Marvel problem.
cinematic universe issue. Yeah, but for me, I'm gonna go B on this one. I'm gonna
I
B.
was gonna go
Yeah.
B.
Yeah,
Yeah, B.
I'm
That
gonna
was.
B,
At least
100%.
we all agree with that one.
yeah.
I don't know what
Oh,
we're
okay.
gonna disagree. Right, no, Far From Home. Far From
Yes,
Home.
Far From Home.
Far From Home. Okay,
Far From
I
Home.
like this movie more than most people do.
Okay.
I think
Why?
it's just
I
Yeah.
might be with you there. I love
I
the
don't think
concept
it's
of
just a
taking him out
disaster.
of America.
yes.
I thought
yes.
that was
I like
a fun concept.
I
The
like
villain.
International Spider-Man. The villain,
The-
I love the villain. I like Sinestro
Well,
a
we
lot.
could have
I really
have
like
done
him.
with it not being another Tony Stark kind of
Yes, yes.
resulting
yeah,
villain.
The Tony
You do
Stark
it again.
connection is bad, but his characterization,
Mhm.
his whole like being this dick techie guy kind of thing, and the whole like illusions being completely fake kind of thing. Like I
Yes, because
think
you
got
couldn't really do
Sinestro.
the actor aspect.
Yeah.
I think it's
Mhm.
been hard to kind of
Mhm.
justify that in this universe.
yeah,
But I also love the fact that he's got a huge team behind him. Like, it's not just
yeah.
him.
I like that.
There's about
I like
there's
that a
about
lot.
10,
Yeah.
15 of them that are just behind the
I-
scenes.
I think
grinding
they
away.
updated the idea of like a spooky stage magician, like
Mhm.
in a really good way. They really made him
Mhm.
feel like a threat as well, which I really like. With the whole like, because
Mhm.
he's less of a physical threat and more
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like a psychological threat. Like he's just a
Yeah.
backstabbing and conniving son of a bitch, and
Mhm.
I think he's great. It's just again,
yeah,
the
for
Tony
me with
Stark shit.
Mysterio, and they have that good sequence to be fair, where
Hmm.
they have like the Tony Stark zombie Iron Man thing
Yeah.
and the Mysterios in the graveyard and
Yeah.
stuff. I really wish they doubled down on that stuff way more.
Yeah.
The whole lava monsters and water monsters, and it's
Yeah.
the whole like
See,
trying to make an
I
Avengers
guess
level
that
threat. I just
worked
don't
as
really
as a
jive
setup,
with that.
like as a
Uh-huh.
setup for the whole like pretending kind of thing. But I
Mhm.
wish we had gotten more, because we do get those two good fight scenes, the one in the
Yeah.
bridge and the one in like in Germany when they're in like that
Yeah.
abandoned building.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see way more of
Absolutely.
that. I
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like how like there's the like, and they didn't really take it into the plot, and it seems
Mhm.
so obvious. Like, you're wanting a story about him feeling confidence in himself. The idea of trusting his instincts should have
Yeah,
been way fucking like come on, man.
yeah,
You're fighting illusions. You have
yeah,
spidey sense, but he hasn't discovered that yet. Hey, how
yeah.
about he trusts himself? He trusts his instincts. Let's fucking
The
double
Peter
down on
Tingle.
that, you know? Yeah, the
Mhm.
Peter Tingle. Let's double down on the Spidey sense,
Yeah.
you know?
Gives him the
That, yeah,
glasses, just show up at the bar and all that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I
There's
I do
big
think for
issues.
me it's a
There's big
step down from
issues.
Homecoming. For me
Yeah.
personally, it's a step down from
Oh,
Homecoming. I
definitely.
think the action in general is a step down from those action set pieces
Mm,
in that one.
mm.
I
Hmm.
also annoys me that we had that whole ending with the I don't want to be Iron Spider. I'm going to do my
Yeah.
own thing, and of course we had an Avengers film in between, but whatever. And then we just get more kind of suits, and he builds his
Well,
own suit, and they're all
Yeah.
yeah. It's
yeah.
I like the fact they can justify not using the Iron Spider by leaving it and that he kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
goes. I thought
Uh-huh.
I
the
don't
thing is
like that he had to had it in this first place, but I do like that he just leaves it behind.
mhm.
It's kind of silly how they tried, like, again, general problem with Marvel. They try to fit as many Easter eggs as possible, whether they actually fit the fucking story or not. So let's feed as many suits as we can. Let's just shove him
Well,
down. He has this
it's
new one. He
yeah.
has this
Uh-huh.
makeshift
The,
one. He has the
the issue with the suits is obviously the core aspect of Marvel is that they're a toy selling company as well, so
yeah,
that
Yeah.
they have to do this. I have
yeah,
to
but
admit,
Iron
the,
Man is all about suits, you know, like that's a character that I
yeah,
don't
I
mind
know,
his
but
stories being
it's
about new suits, but fucking Spider-Man has
well,
nothing to
well,
do with his
well,
suits.
well, well,
But it's
well,
not about the suits. The
well,
suits is what Marvel
well,
did when the comics weren't selling well. Like, the
well,
comics aren't selling well. Let's
Yeah.
put a
well,
new suit in
come
the cover,
He's
you
gonna
know?
keep saying well,
take
let's just let him speak
take
on
a
that.
seat. I would have to disagree at that point.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit obvious in this film, especially when they go through like 2 or 3 suits a
Mm.
film.
Mm.
Another thing you see, because I think he sure goes through like 3 suits in the next one, but I have to admit that for me personally, because I'm a big fan of the red and black kind of Steve Ditko variant. So
It looks good. It looks good.
that suit for me, the ending one
Yeah.
is a personal
Mhm.
fave of mine because
Yeah.
it's the closest thing I've
Yeah.
gotten to the Steve
To
Ditko
the
kind of
Ditko. Yeah.
Uh,
style.
I mean,
But
the Ditko
Yeah.
I
styles.
agree it's a step down from Far From Home.
Hmm.
I
uh,
don't know if I would put it. I don't know. This is probably the toughest
I
one for
think
me.
I'd put it in C. That this is for me,
I'd
like,
put it in
it's
C. I'd put it
entertaining
in C.
enough, like same
Mm.
as
But
like
do we are we putting it
Spider-Man 3.
above Spider-Man 3 or below in the
No,
C
I'm
tier?
putting it same as Spider-Man 3 because both of them
Yeah,
are
I
movies
also
that have
think
big
this.
flaws that I enjoy
Yeah,
despite
I
their
think. Well,
fine flaws.
Spider-Man 3, I think technically as a fit, like directed and the way it's shot and lit and put together looks better and
Yes,
it's more enjoyable in that action front for me,
visually
more
it's way
enjoyable
more
than this.
beautiful. Yeah,
But that's the thing. Coming off of Homecoming, it had. We see all these flaws later on with Infinity War and stuff becoming a big issue.
Mm.
That film does have like a concrete story and like a
yes.
proper arc for Spider-Man.
Mm.
And this one, I don't know. Where are
He
we at with
doesn't
it? It doesn't. It's not
again
strong. The story's nowhere
it
near
could have been a
strong.
whole
Yeah.
story about him
Mm.
learning to trust himself
Because it's about
because
him,
that's the
gaining responsibility and being himself. Because
Iron
Iron
Yeah.
Man's
Man's not
dead.
there.
You
But
don't have
we kind of
your
already did
parents.
that. We
Yeah,
kind
but
of
that's
already
the thing.
did that.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. The previous one was about
Yeah.
him trusting his instincts despite what Iron Man was telling him, you know, and
I
like
know-
learning that it's okay to like just stay at the level that he was. But again,
Yeah.
MCU problem. They literally throw all of that in the trash because we
This-
gotta have him in Infinity War.
I have
So-
to
Let's
say,
go see.
I think
I will see
I
on
think
that
this film could have been a really great transition of MCU Spider-Man to normal Spider-Man because
Yeah.
he could have done it that he was just running out of Tony Tech through this film because he had no
Yeah.
connection,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
kind of doubled down on it in the next one. But yeah, let's do No
Let's
Way Home.
jump
'Cause I
to
think
the
this
big
is
one because I know
I think this
Gonzalo's
is
got a
going
lot
to
of feelings about this.
surprise. I think this will
Yeah.
surprise a lot of general audience members of how much we actually dislike this film.
I really dislike this film.
Okay, well, Gonzalo, you lead the way. With
Okay,
that. You lead the
Spider-Man
with
No
why
Way
you dislike
Home.
this one.
Okay. So, full disclosure, really enjoyed watching it in cinemas. I really enjoyed the
Mm.
experience of seeing these actors that I have nostalgia for and these characters that I loved as a kid show up again in narratives. Willem Dafoe returning, like all of that stuff. It really touched me. like I felt it, you know, like you were in the
Mhm.
cinema, the portal opened and you saw Tommy Maguire, and like you felt it, your heart
Mhm.
started beating harder, and you felt that like love for the thing. This movie is trash. This movie is fucking awful. This movie sucks so hard. I hate this movie. This movie is
Okay.
everything. Like for me, it just represents
Mhm.
everything that is wrong with Marvel. So, with the MCU basically. So, I love like comic stories with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. I think they have a
Yes.
fantastic rapport. I love seeing like him take this kid, because he's still this kid who works at a city level, and taking him into this interdimensional things. In every Spider-Man show, the best episodes, my favorite ones, are the ones where he has to like he's helping out Doctor Strange in one thing or another. It's really
Mhm.
good to see this fish out of water kind of story. We have the opportunity to have some of that. We don't have
Yes.
that. Then then we have these amazing characters coming in from different universes.
Mhm.
We kind of sort of explore them a little bit, I guess. Not
Mhm.
really, because there's too many of them and there's too much going on. Then the big thing that really, really sucks for me is we've gone through two
Mhm.
movies that were very well received. One
Mhm.
was better than the other, but like just a step down.
Mhm.
Um, we didn't need an origin story. Why the fuck do we have another origin story? Why is the
Yeah.
third movie an
Same thing.
origin
Yeah.
story?
Yeah.
Why
I know.
is his origin story being about to kill someone and
Mhm.
only being stopped by another version of himself, rather than
Mhm.
him having that internal choice? Like, what the fuck are you doing with these characters? It just feels like the
Yeah.
ending, just a bunch of kids just mashing characters together.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
worst thing, just because these two parent companies are fighting, let's just have him completely disregard the
Mhm.
consent of his girlfriend and his best friend, just as the finale, and
Yeah.
make it like he's sacrificing something. Why not?
My biggest.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like this
With No
movie.
Way Home,
I
I,
really
I
don't like
do.
this movie.
I do agree with you, Gonthal, and
Yeah.
for most of that. For me, the contrivance of getting this plot to happen really grinds my gears. And I
Yeah.
remember me and Kyle talking about this a lot. We were watching the trailers, and I was like, right, this just better be edited for the trailers, and there's going to be more to it than that. But it's so utterly moronic from both, a surgeon and a wizard, and a guy who's meant to be like an incredibly
They
gifted
just fuck
child,
it up.
right?
They just fuck it
They
up.
don't
They just fuck it up.
talk about anything.
They
That
just
whole
fuck it up.
joke where he goes, did you like appeal? And he's like, what? You can do that? Doing? Like, no, that doesn't work when you have two geniuses in the same room. This isn't Dumb and Dumber, right? So that whole contrivance to get him to do the whole spell really infuriates me.
I am really
I
annoyed.
also
I'm
think, I
really
also
annoyed
think,
that we didn't
uh,
have, like, especially on the fucking, like, with multiverses being like
mhm,
a thing that's been introduced, we didn't have a movie where basically Peter Parker travels through the multiverse to help his other versions of himself.
Yeah.
yeah,
That would have been so
yeah,
cool. It would have given you the choice to do something
yeah,
that we know audiences liked, which is the changing of styles. You would have even gone ahead of fucking
yeah,
Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, because they hadn't
uh-huh,
shown other dimensions, or like your protagonist traveling through other dimensions. Hey,
yep,
what if we revisit these? Now let's
yeah.
just bring it all into
I,
the. It's just
I also find it very weird how you could argue this is a celebration of all three Spider-Man. It's Tom
yes,
Holland's
Yeah.
kind of
universe,
is.
Tobey and
Yeah,
Andrew coming in. You have their villains. Why is none of Tom's villains here? I find that very, very strange how the Vulture isn't here in some capacity.
yeah.
Okay, you got to get into their own universe. I guess that kind of becomes a flaw with that.
No,
But
Vulture is in the Morbius universe. That
Mm.
was
well,
the
I know
point.
Vulture's in the Morbius universe now, but like that is. I don't know,
Yeah,
that kind of puts me off a bit. It's like, why is it a celebration of like Toby and Andrew, who aren't even here, by the way? Of course they're coming,
because it's
and
a
then their
celebration
villains
of
are here.
nostalgia. Because it's
Yeah,
basically a nostalgia
that's it.
fest. Because it's
But
basically, hey,
Gonzalo, like you were saying, and
yeah,
look, the Daredevil stuff as well is a bit cringy looking back. They just kind
yeah,
of threw him in for a second.
Yeah.
But Toby and Andrew are there, and they fucking save the film. And
yeah.
I know that is purely based on me
On
just loving
nostalgia.
Spider-Man 2 and
Yeah,
Spider-Man 1.
yeah.
And, like, it does kind of redeem Andrew Garfield.
I
Kind
was
of gives
I
the
was
best
gonna
performance
say,
of
Yeah.
Spider-Man
yeah,
that
I
he's
was
ever
gonna
done in
say
15
Andrew
minutes.
Garfield shows
Uh-huh.
us that, like, even with just like a
Mhm.
little bit of decent writing, he could have been one of the
Yeah.
best Spider-Man. It's just they
Yeah.
didn't give him anything to work with, because they
100%.
give him like this pile of shit,
Uh-huh.
and he does a really good job at it.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
oh,
Action wise,
yeah.
it's not really anything special besides, I think, well, actually, no. The Willem Dafoe grizzly
Yes.
fight scene with Tom Holland, I think, is
That's
really
In the
good because
apartment
except for the
Willem
is
ending.
Dafoe
yeah.
is just going ham.
Yeah.
And also the Doctor Strange sequence when he's chasing Doctor Strange and that stuff, I think that
That
is
was
fun.
fun.
Also,
The final,
yeah,
final
yeah.
sequence, I think, is a bit disinteresting.
Mm.
But
The
Once
morals
again, final
behind the
sequence in the
story, by the
dark.
way, morals behind the story, like the moral compass, the whole like what the fuck, like
appeal to university?
what
I
the-
don't know.
What the fuck is the okay? So
No,
we start with him basically, like he's living the consequences of his actions, and he's sad that his friends are also roped in with him. They repeatedly say, "We're good. This is fine. We'll get out of it," and he's like, "No." It's just my thing. So you think, oh, so his arc is going to be realizing, hey, listen to the people that you love. If they say they're with you till the end, they're with you till the end. Don't feel bad for them if they are not asking you to do that.
Yeah.
But no, at the end he does the complete fucking opposite. So that's not the moral. Then we have the whole Aunt May, which we fridge, by the way, for some fucking reason. We decide to murder her. Why not? Another just for the sake of character development, let's fucking go. No, like the whole thing where she's like, oh yeah, it's your responsibility to do the things that you can do when you do the things that you do with the things, you know, like the whole thing where they just do the but worse. And like it's supposed to be like, yeah, it's his responsibility to help these people that are being sent back to their deaths and rehabilitate them.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes, I do think Aunt May. I've said this when we're watching with Kel. She was on cocaine in this film. Her character feels very, very strange.
Yeah,
obsessed with her, him helping the Green Goblin.
I mean, I get it. I get it.
It was so much. I was like,
but it was so much. It was so much. And
then
then
Kyle,
like,
sorry, me and Godal just shouted for ages.
Well, I'm
sorry,
about to call referee here because we're spending too much time in this film. Again, I'm gonna agree quickly with Lewis saying that they had on the concept board the free Spider-Man and went, right, how do we get to this point? That is this film.
We just make Doctor Strange a moron for the whole film.
that is this film, and you know what annoys me is with a universe that or a studio at the time that started to build up multiverse, you could have easily had it as a multiple of ways. You could have had it that something had in Loki that just happened and a ripple effect.
Yeah. It would have even given. It
was right there for them.
Garfield Spider-Man a chance to come back and have other movies on the Sony side. Like you could have done that. You could have reintroduced this universe in a better way with better writers, and then leave that to other sequels with your other Spider-Man.
Right. Okay. I'm going to say one thing.
All right.
I would have loved to seen what would have been this film if the pandemic hadn't happened, because Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness would need to be first, and I feel that if that had all happened, that original script would have maybe made this one slightly nicer and less dumb, stupid people.
Also,
where are we pitching
visually
it?
speaking, it's it's very confined.
It's shoebox. It's a shoebox.
Yeah. Right. This is hard. Gonzalo, where would you put it?
Where would you
put it?
F.
Whoa!
Yes.
I wouldn't put it in F.
It's straight up.
I would put it in F.
I'm sorry, guys. I really dislike this movie. I think it's just wasted opportunity after wasted opportunity. They had They had so much shit behind it. It could have been so good, and they just wasted every single opportunity.
Right. I can't for the sake of Andrew's redemption, I can't put it in F.
Okay, let's
D.
I feel it's a D. Is it above or below The Amazing Spider-Man?
Below. The Amazing Spider-Man makes sense as a film, even if it's bad and boring. It's just
right.
Okay,
no.
I'm sorry.
Right. Let's
this is the democracy. This is democracy.
I would much rather watch No Way Home than either of Andrew Garfield's film. Let's be real.
If I want to watch No Way Home again.
For a voting standpoint, is I'm putting it in D, but above Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
I would I go C? I might go C. I would maybe. It's very, very flawed. But
it's way worse than Spider-Man 3.
Have you rewatched it sometime?
I've not rewatched it. I saw it twice in cinemas, so that says it to me that I mean, the first time I got a real
the applause gaps.
The second time was an eye-opening experience. The first time I was so in with the crowd.
For me, it was a slow burn. Like I was so happy.
I watched that week later, and then I was there is a lot of bad stuff going on.
Watch it. watch it at home and you will put it in D. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Really? Well, I've exactly.
See when you
Even
notice there's
see it
gaps
again in
for
cinemas.
applause. It's
Even see it
shocking.
again in cinemas. I saw
Yes.
the
Oh
step
my
down in
god, the
quality.
applause gaps are so bad.
Right. I'm
Right,
calling
okay.
referee here. We need to move on because we're
Okay,
spending far
yes,
too
yes.
long.
Okay.
Um,
Haven't seen any of these,
let's do the Amazing the Into the Spider-Verse because we've talked
Spider-Man,
about both
okay.
these recently, so we don't need to give too much an opinion.
True.
Into the
S
Spider-Verse.
and Super S.
Right, we do have to fucking hold Gonzalo's
Yes,
mouth
right.
shut when it comes to these films. The animation's beautiful, Gonzalo. We know you want to talk about it for a goddamn hour, but we can't.
Right.
We have guys. If you really want to hear our full-fledged thoughts on those two films, genuinely just go back and listen to our Across the Spider-Verse review.
Yeah.
It's all there.
But we all have stuff to
but
do
for
this
Into the
evening.
Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse. Look. Got a brilliant introduction to Miles Morales. The art style was bold, innovative, fantastic. Juggles all the multiverse stuff, but in a really, really heartfelt and important way. All the characters are great, really entertaining, really funny. I'm gonna go A on the first one.
You're gonna go A.
A on
Right.
the first one.
I am gonna go S on the first one.
S on the
Okay.
first one.
So I'm gonna put it
Alright,
on.
okay.
I'm gonna put it S, but below Spider-Man 2 for me.
Yes, below Spider-Man 2,
And then I
I'm gonna
think
put
this
it
is
A
where we come
above.
to. This is where we come to a contradiction with the Into or Across the Spider-Verse, because I think you guys put it higher than I do at the moment.
Across the
yeah.
Spider-Verse to me is
That's
actually a
another
step up
S.
to Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
It's an S for me.
Yeah.
Kyle does not agree. Kyle's
No,
scared
my,
that's gonna
no,
end
no,
No,
bad.
Kyle's
this is
waiting
my
for the
issue.
second
That-
part.
yeah.
He's waiting
I-
for the second
I-
part.
I will give you this if it is
Yes.
if it's a good ending and a conclusion,
Yeah.
and also if we
Yeah.
get the conclusion.
Yes.
But my issue is I can't give something a 10 out of 10 or an S rank if
I mean, he's got a
It's
point
not-
because there are themes that were introduced and arcs that were started that we don't have a culmination for, and we don't know if they're
But-
going to be addressed correctly or culminated
Yeah,
correctly.
So
But
for me, I think as a
as a
story,
piece
what
of
that film
filmmaking, it's an
I
S for
will.
me.
I'm
Absolutely.
gonna put it in S, but I'm putting it between Spider-Man 2 and
Yes.
Into.
right, because for me that stuff when it goes into just the idea what you can really do with the multiverse, like the whole idea about doing your own thing, that whole sort of that meta thing where it's talking about like being original and that
Yes.
sort of breaking the mold franchise filmmaking. I think
Yes.
it's a really meta quality that not a
It's
lot of people
fantastic.
have talked
And
about.
Yeah.
actually tackling the whole.
Action-wise,
We have
astounding as
so
well.
many Spider-Man movies that
Uh-huh.
came before. We know the whole mythos and stuff, tackling the
Yeah.
whole idea of like the canon events, the whole rebellious aspect of like you have this young black guy basically being like, "Fuck you, authority. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do my
Yeah.
own thing." Like that is powerful.
It's like, why
as
do we
fuck.
always have to abide by the same story
I'm
and the
just
same
saying-
rules that we've seen a million times? I love that whole criticism.
I
I
love
think that's
Peter
genius.
Parker, but
Yeah.
Miles Morales, and this might be controversial for me, is a better Spider-Man than Peter Parker could ever be, because I feel
Wow.
the essence of
That's good.
Spider-Man, it's in the entire world kicking his fucking ass and him standing back up and doing the right thing regardless. And you can't get like more disenfranchised than Miles Morales is. Like,
Yeah, well, the entire multiverse
Right.
wanting to stop you.
it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Like-
It's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Let's
It's absolutely fantastic.
I mean, we like you said, Liz, we have done an episode on this before. We need to save time
Is it
here.
just Venom? Is the two Venom films and Morbius? Is that what we've got left?
Yeah.
I don't know where else they're gonna go, mate.
Oh,
I mean,
S tier, all of them. Let's fucking
tier.
go.
okay,
Right,
Venom 1.
First Venom.
This one's so easy for me. Just have not seen for all three of them. I'm done. Bye, guys.
Kyle,
Right.
okay, Kyle, I'm gonna ask you a question. What did you prefer, Venom 1 or 2?
Venom 2 is shorter.
Well,
You love them, is what you said.
No,
Yeah.
I think that's I don't know. Liz, you know that one of my favorite Spider-Man villains is Carnage, so I was kind of
I
excited
know, Carnage is
for
fantastic.
Carnage.
He's a great villain.
The fact that Woody Harrelson didn't have the Annie wig really upsets me. I feel if he actually
that's
wore
true.
the Annie wig for this entire film, it would be a solid B tier for me. Because that would have just made it brilliant. That film is
For those of
horrific
you who
in the
haven't
sense.
seen it, yeah, like for those of you who haven't seen it, at the end of
The
the
end
first
credit scene
Venom,
of the
there's
first
a post
Venom.
credit scene with
It's-
Woody Harrelson, and he's got
It's
a curly
brilliant.
redhead wig. Yeah.
But apart from that,
But
I mean,
yeah.
the fact that the scale of Carnage just randomly changes. They don't know what size he is in this film.
yeah.
They're both
It just
so utterly bad in their own
Yeah.
ways.
I mean, I agree. I mean, for me, these are the films that they just, to me, they just exist. They're just schlock, but not fun, silly schlock. They're just nothing, meaningless, no visual, noisy pictures that aren't about anything. No one really cares.
We're gonna.
Tom
I'm just
Hardy, I
getting
love
them
Tom
now.
Hardy, but like he's just
See,
doing it great.
see, the
They're just
only
nothing.
They're
They're
all
nothing
there.
pictures.
the only
Yeah.
people I've seen online that are like
Yeah.
Vermin fans of the Venom franchise
Uh-huh.
are people who ship Venom and Tom Hardy, and that's the only people I've seen who
Now,
are like they make like
Yeah.
compilations of
There's
the
nothing
chemistry
interesting
between
about any
Venom
of these
and Tom
films. There's nothing
Hardy.
interesting about any of these
I
films.
like the idea of like of them doing the whole thing of him talking to himself and he is Venom. I
Yeah.
like the
Great
design
Goblin.
of Venom, even though it defeats the point because the whole thing is that he was meant to be implanted into Spider-Man's suits, and that's
Yep.
what gave him the shape and the eyes. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. I
That's
hate the
why
fact that
Carnage
they have.
looks like
Yeah,
Venom because
I hate the
because his
idea
son.
that they've done after all the criticism Marvel Studios got, especially with going, we can't make the hero's villain just a carbon copy of themselves. They've
Yeah.
gone, we're going to do it twice, and we're probably going to do it a third time.
Yeah.
And then Sony
I mean,
went,
look-
oh, we're going to do that with Morbius. And then we're going to do that with Madam Web. And I'm not
Oh, were you
surprised at
talking
this
about
stage.
are we gonna
If
talk
Craven the
about
Hunter,
Morbius?
if Craven the Hunter fights a lion, I am gonna just lose it. I'm just gonna
Why? He's got lion blood, dude.
Oh my
That's
God,
so
Craven!
cool.
No, Craven the Hunter's gonna fight the rhino. He's just gonna fight another animal.
He might actually.
No,
He might.
right, more.
Let's talk about Morbius, guy.
yeah.
We briefly went over
He's
Venom.
taking the
Oh.
Russian mob. Oh my god, he is. gonna fight them.
Absolute
Morbius. Let's
dog
talk about
shit of a
Morbius.
film.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
why is it dog shit?
understand.
Why is it
Oh,
dog shit, Kyle?
Why? You've got a horrific
Yeah, let's
story.
get to the main potatoes. This. Why? Is it, I know we did a review of this, to be fair, like 2 years ago. I
Okay,
guess.
Yeah.
First of all, was Morbius anyone's favorite Spider-Man villain?
No.
No.
No. Okay, cool. Why is that? Why is that the
Why
second
exactly?
one that they went?
If,
Look, the
if
thing
you
is
want,
with
if you
Morbius,
want to
right-
see a good Morbius story, watch the animated series. He's actually quite good
Yeah.
in that. They have got a good
I
plot
think
with it.
With Morbius, though, out of Venom not doing it without Spider-Man,
Okay.
and same with Carnage is even to me just weirder without doing it with Spider-Man. But Morbius, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, do a vampire anti-hero film. You can do anything with
should.
that. Why
Yeah.
is this one just like it feels like
Just
I tell you what
Iron
it feels
Man.
like. It feels like a comic book film that came out in the 90s and like not a good one either. That's
Yeah.
what it feels. It feels
Elektra
so
or
dated
Daredevil.
and has nothing new to do with the genre. Like, you literally have a vampire man. Like, do crazy stuff with that. Make it R-rated, go bloody. Like, just do the opposite of Blade, man. I don't know. Just like,
Yeah.
just going crazy.
Yeah,
like,
does
why is it so
Sony-
boring?
Does Sony have the rights to Blade, or is that Fox?
No, Marvel have it.
Oh, Marvel have it
Well,
now.
Fox,
MCU have it,
Fox,
yeah. Fox had it.
Fox
I
had
don't
it
know
now.
about
Marvel.
But
Yeah,
I want to.
yeah.
I want to spend. One thing I really despise about this film is once again the studio, because
Yeah.
the absolute lies of the marketing of this film is actually outrageous.
Yeah.
The fact that they
Yeah, absolutely.
kept showing Spider-Man on posters in the background, that they did the thing where they took Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, posted it with the word criminal above it to suggest that they're talking about Tom Holland's Spider-Man who was on trial for Mysterio's death. They also
Yeah.
included Michael Keaton in a snippet of the trailer.
Yeah.
And then in the end, they went, "Oh, it's got nothing to do with anything except for the last 2 seconds
Yes.
where a very not there Michael Keaton shows up and
I
goes,
will say,
I don't know why I'm here, but I think it has something to do with a 16-year-old kid that has nothing to do with magic. But we should team up."
I want to say something. This is why, for me, Spider-Man No Way Home is an F, because this is its fault. This is
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
That's a
no,
different
yes,
vibe.
it is.
I would
Yes,
argue
it
with
is.
that. That's an
Yes, it is.
executive's
It's-
issue.
It's the same way.
Um,
It's the same
But you know
way
what would have upgraded
we got
No
like
Way Home for
fucking
you?
X-Men like and different like Inhumans and shit in the Doctor Strange multiverse one. It's like this whole idea of like putting in different little tiny little
Yeah.
things to
Yeah,
get people
well,
theorizing and making
you know what
better
you'd have
stories.
made No Way Home better for you? You would have upgraded to a D.
Yeah.
As if Matt Smith was there doing a little dance.
It would've.
Because
Oh,
that was the
that
best
would
suit
have
in Morbius.
that
100%.
would
I
have.
actually really think Matt Smith
Matt
is fun
Smith
in
is
it.
great.
He's having a
I
blast.
love Matt
Matt
Smith,
Smith.
so fuck yeah, let's go.
The irony of the
Have the
fact that
doctor
Karen
show up in the
Gillian was
middle
the
of
one that convinced him to take the role because of her joy is Nebula, and then he gets sat with this.
Yeah, that is
That's
so
amazing.
Is
sad, right?
quite
Right,
funny.
Kendall,
Such a
before
good
we wrap up, why don't you do the list for me? 'Cause
Right,
I can't see the list.
I'm gonna start with the lowest, and we'll go to
Yes.
the
Okay.
top. So
Okay.
at the bottom of the barrel we have Morbius, Venom 2, and Venom, purely because they actually have nothing to do with Spider-Man, is the only reason that they're below the Amazing Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 actually
Alex,
has
yeah.
something to do with Spider-Man.
It
Following
does.
with that,
It really
we have the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yes.
Again, after that, we have Spider-Man No Way Home, which possibly is the most controversial one on this list.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to hate us for that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. We then have Spider-Man Far From Home, then followed by Spider-Man 3. Then we have Spider-Man Homecoming, the original Spider-Man, and then we have Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Man. Oh my god, that's a different film entirely. Jesus.
That's a different list. Into the
an
Spider-Verse,
unknown,
Across
yeah.
the Spider-Verse, and finishing with Spider-Man 2. Now, obviously, I have questions about the Across the Spider-Verse, but that has to do
Yes.
with the fact that I do not know what Beyond's going to be.
Yes.
But that is
Let's go.
the Sony
Yes.
Spider-Verse. And where will Madam Web be?
Maybe.
Will it be S tier? Who
I know.
knows? Will we
Well,
find out
anyway,
what happened with her
I
mum in the
guess
Amazon while she was researching
find out in a
spiders
couple
before she
weeks.
died?
Yeah.
We're going to actually return to this list in a couple of weeks.
Oh my
Kyle,
god!
and we're going to
Wait, Kyle, behind you, is that the guy who was with my mom in the Amazon studying spiders and mysteriously died?
in a
If that
couple of
line is
weeks
taken
when
out
we
of the hit film,
review
I will cry. Saying
when we
that.
review Madam Web, we will actually return to this tier list and we will put it on there and we'll see where
I
it
will
goes.
say,
But
I would love a universe in which Madame Web turns out to be a really fucking good film.
I want it to be. I
would
would really actually want it to be.
Like,
I'd love it. I'd
Guys,
absolutely love it.
remember the trailers for Dungeons and Dragons Honor
Yeah,
on Sleeves? Those
That's-
were awesome. Those were
If
fucking
if
incredible.
Madam
That
Web,
movie was
I mean,
great.
the review embargo being lifted less than the day before it released doesn't really say that. But anyway,
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, let's wrap up. So thank you very much, Gonzalo, for joining us,
Absolute pleasure as always.
and thank you very much, Kyle, as well.
that's no worries.
No worries. Look, so yeah, on next week's episode, we kind of maybe should have done our Spider-Man one next week, but who cares? On next week's episode is the week of Valentine's, so you know what we're doing. I think we've done a couple of Valentine's episodes before, and
Yeah.
next week we're gonna do our least favorite rom-coms or romantic movies, the ones we really hate and we don't love at all. So that will be on next week's episode. Plus, probably have a review for the Iron Claw, which finally releases here in the UK this weekend. But look, we just give our opinion on all those Spider-Man and Sonyverse films, plus American Fiction and Argyle. But at the end of the day, those were our unwanted opinions. Thank you very much.